Monsieur de Mirabeau.
Have your efforts paid off?
What does this letter mean?
Who gave you the right to read my correspondence?
I'm curious about how you got rid of Italia. As if it burned your fingers.
To tell you the truth, you're not entirely wrong. It is a missive sent by my father, the Marquis de Mirabeau, the scoundrel who shamelessly dares to call himself the friend of man. He writes to say that he is on the brink of death, in such a desperate state that he has received extreme unction. This reprobate used his final moments on this mortal plane to send me threats yet again. He swears that he will torment me from beyond the grave.
How is that possible?
To my knowledge, he has not yet deigned to shuffle off this mortal coil. In any case, the satisfaction of knowing he is dead would not assuage my concern. This man is more persistent than the plague. He's capable of anything. He has spent his entire life persecuting his family. And I believe he is ready to spend his eternal rest continuing to do the same. I need to know what he's planning.
Where is he now?
At his home in Argenteuil. Given the circumstances, going to ask him for an explanation is out of the question. But the man who heard his final confession is here.
Monseigneur de la Fare.
Precisely. Only this confounded shaveling refuses to tell me a word of what the old dragon confided to him. He stubbornly insists on the secrecy of confession. Bon sang. Will we ever be rid of these damned superstitions? Aegis, would you be so kind as to intercede with the bishop? Perhaps you will be able to make him change his mind. Were you able to speak with Monseigneur de la Fare?
No. I found a note written by Eugène de Vaucanson. He mentions the death of the Dauphin at Meudon. What happened that night?
How should I know? The child passed away at Meudon. I was in Versailles.
Eugène de Vaucanson told you nothing?
The only thing he was willing to tell me was that something terrible had happened, and that the circumstances leading to the Dauphin's death were not exactly as described. One thing for certain is that he was extremely upset about what happened, so much so that he refused to spend a single day more in the king's service. But he has apparently changed his mind.
Besides the king and Monsieur de Vaucanson, who else witnessed these events?
Well, if they followed protocol, Monsieur Le Monnier, the first physician to the king, he must have performed the autopsy on the child.
Where can I find him?
He lives in Versailles, near the chateau. But he has a practice here in Paris, on Rue Saint-Thomas d'Enfer, in the quartier Saint-André-des-Arts.
Goodbye, Citoyen Mirabeau. And down with the Clockwork King.
Aegis, a word, s'il vous plaît.
Aegis, I'd like to talk to you about my research. Do you have a few moments to spare for me?
Certainly, mon père. I am listening.
I've carefully collected the testimony of our companions here. Then I compared them with the observations made during my investigation of the man who calls himself Cagliostro. I came to quite the shocking conclusion. I believe I have discovered how the royal automats remain constantly in motion. Like clocks that never need winding. They get their energy from the souls of the dead, Aegis. They drink from the anima essence that permeates the purgatory described by Monseigneur de la Fare. These machines feed on the dead. The greater the massacre, the deeper the river where they slake their thirst.
Is there any way to stop the bloodshed, mon père?
I believe there is always hope, Aegis. As long as I remain free to pursue my research, I will never lose faith. I keep thinking about the three Nemes. These echoes. All of this is clearly related to Nicholas Flamel's work.
The alchemist?
Precisely, mon ami. And this leads me to fear the worst.
What have we to fear from an alchemist who died nearly 4 centuries ago?
Not him, per se. Rather the heretic who is exploiting his discoveries. This poses a grave danger to us all.
What do you fear, mon père?
What do I fear? Nearly 2 months ago, the king forbade anyone from setting foot inside the Église Saint-Jacques de la Boucherie, near the Hôtel de Ville. He had the priests forcibly removed. They hardly even had time to save the church's sacred relics. Since then, only our Father in heaven knows what they've been doing there, hidden away from the people of Paris.
Mon Dieu. Flamel's tomb.
My thoughts exactly, Monseigneur. Legend has it that Flamel was buried with his Lapis Philosophorum.
What is the Lapis Philosophorum, mon père?
The Philosopher's Stone. Where do I begin? No one knows its true nature, or even what it might look like. All that is known is that it is said to grant untold riches and eternal life to whoever possesses it. Its very existence is questioned, of course. But if it's true, just imagine what sinister purpose the king and his accomplices might find for it. We must elucidate this matter at any cost.
Where is this tomb?
In the church's crypt. The priests always ensured that it remained undisturbed, despite the mystery surrounding it. But now they're no longer there to protect it. We need to know for certain.
But how? There are automats everywhere.
Aegis,
Oui, mon père.
will you help us get to the bottom of this?
Did you not say that it was impossible to enter the church?
There is perhaps a solution. The penitent's door behind the Châtelet leads to the Quartier de l'Hôtel de Ville. It's only opened on Good Friday, but this year, I had the honor and good fortune to lead the procession. Here is the key.
Goodbye, Abbot. And may liberty... Monsieur Bailly.
Mademoiselle, I am very pleased to find you here with us within the shelter of these walls.
I found a document written in a script that I was unable to read.
Let me see. Ah, je vois. These pages were written using some sort of shorthand. A variation on Taylor's system, no doubt. I'm wont to use it myself from time to time while jotting down my ideas as they come.
What does it say?
It's a bit difficult to decipher. Je crois. I believe it's an autopsy report. The author writes that the subject died from a large dose of prussic acid.
What is prussic acid?
My apologies, Aegis, but I'm no chemist. You should ask Monsieur Lavoisier.
Goodbye, Citoyen Bailly. Vive la... Monsieur Lavoisier.
Madame, you're my guardian angel. I don't know anything about you or what drives you, but I owe you my life and can refuse you nothing.
What is prussic acid?
It's a volatile compound extracted from Prussian blue, which is a pigment derived from the cochineal, an insect.
What does it do?
Oh, it's a lethal poison of the most dangerous sort. Though at weaker doses, it merely induces a deep soporific state, or a coma, if you will.
A deadly poison. Mon Dieu. The poor child.
Aegis? Is everything all right?
Goodbye, Citoyen Leveau. And down with...
Aegis, a word, s'il vous plaît.
My respects, Monseigneur.
I didn't expect to see you again so soon, Aegis. We missed you when we had to leave our shelter at Place Saint-Merry. The path that led us to this convent was not an easy one, believe me.
Monseigneur, I would like to talk to you about your recent meeting with the Marquis de Mirabeau.
What has gotten into all of you? This has gone on long enough. I will say it one last time and pray that they will finally leave me alone. Nothing and no one will make me violate the secrecy of his confession. Have I made myself clear?
Perfectly clear, Monseigneur. Citoyen Mirabeau. Alas, the bishop stubbornly refused to reveal anything.
Damn it. I need to know what my rogue of a father is up to. Let me think. In light of the cartload of threats he sent me, it's safe to wager that my sister and mother received similar letters. They may even have already suffered his revenge. However, my sister lives in Grasse in the south of France. Unless a messenger rode 100 horses to death, she could not have received this letter. Then there is my poor mother.
If you ask me, I will go to find her.
Yes, it's very kind of you to offer. But I couldn't even tell you where she is staying.
Your own mother?
Indeed. It's a very embarrassing matter. A secret, which I beg you not to divulge.
I can be discreet. Rest assured.
Very well. You should know that my mother, the Countess of Covey, has lost everything. Truly. First her fortune, then her faculties. No matter what I tried, nothing could prevent her decline. It is said that she is now living on charity, in the most abject poverty in the slums of the Marais. If perchance your past takes you to this dreadful place, and if she still remembers who she is, perhaps you may meet her.
By God, we're not gonna just leave her there. She'll be eaten by rats.
What would you have us do? Are you willing to risk your life just to go bury her?
Absolutely not. But still, what a sorry sight.
The Comtesse de Covey. The poor thing. This is not the work of an automat, but of a common thug, no doubt. Now I must bring the terrible news to Monsieur de Mirabeau.
No! The process. I don't want to die. Not like this.
Athénaïs, pour l'amour de Dieu, run and hide!
What do you mean, Papa?
Hurry, I beg you! The Count is at our door. He shall take us away.
Good heavens!
Don't worry about me. Run, I say. Run!
Where could she have escaped to? I should keep looking. A hiding place in the Luxembourg Gardens. If I could find out where it was, I could track down Athénaïs.
No! The process.
Some worshippers were able to escape the automats. They ran towards the entrance to the catacombs.
Young, they're back.
Madame Necker escaped. I must inform her husband immediately. Citoyen Necker.
Pardon me, madame. Eh bien, do you come bearing good news?
Your wife. You may rest easy, monsieur. Your wife escaped the massacre. She returned home and left you this letter.
Mon Dieu. She's going to meet our daughter and son-in-law at our charity hospital.
She may already be there.
Madame, I did not dare to dream of such an outcome. My wife and daughter. Can you imagine? And I thought I had lost both of them. The three of us will be able to leave the kingdom and put these horrors behind us forever.
What about the bonds?
They are not in your possession.
No, not yet.
You must ensure they do not benefit the king, madame. You will find them in the Armoire de Fer, in the Palais des Tuileries. Do with them as you see fit, as long as the king does not use them. As for me, I'm going to find my family at once. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. I pray that your efforts will be successful. Adieu, madame. Adieu.
Minister Necker has given his bonds to me.
That's quite a nice little sum. Can you imagine? That's 1/5 of the kingdom's entire wealth.
Wealth that the king squanders for his personal benefit according to his whims.
Ma foi. Monsieur Necker certainly has been very generous to his adoptive country.
Generous? I have my doubts. The loan was granted at a very high rate. So high, in fact, that it would have dug the deficit into an even deeper state of abyss.
Eh bien, messieurs. To what use shall we employ this boonful fortune?
If I could spend it, I'd do everything I could to return to the people their confiscated freedom. To begin, I would get them the bread they so sorely need. It is only after the scourge of famine has been vanquished that armed patriots might then be able to rise up against despotism.
And where will you find wheat, Robespierre? Will you steal it from under the noses of the automats who have sworn to destroy the human race? As for arming the people, this is another one of your delusions. How could your ragged pack of wretches win any sort of battle that'd be unable to lift a sword?
When you insult the people, you insult me, Monsieur de Lafayette.
I am not insulting anyone, Robespierre. But I happen to know what it takes to fight. Unlike you. Monsieur, I was but a lad of 15 when I took up arms. And everyone here knows my role in the liberation of America from British rule. If you allow me to dispose of these bonds, I will found an army that will annihilate the Clockwork King's diabolical machines. As soon as I have the opportunity to leave Paris, I will rally the officers and troops that are stationed in the provinces. Then, I will call for a mass uprising. I will have more than enough money to pay their wages and procure the weapons we need.
And you will have obedient troops at your beck and call, ready to repress anyone who challenges your power.
These troops will only serve the will of the people. I swear it.
Are you sure that the king has spared the rest of the kingdom, Monsieur le Marquis?
I am almost certain of it, mon père. Despite all of his resources, the king does not have enough manpower to occupy all the garrisons in the country.
Aegis, no member of this assembly can force your hand. The choice is yours. To whom will you entrust Monsieur Necker's bonds?
The bonds are not yet in my possession.
Then please continue your search.
Citoyen Mirabeau. Unfortunately, I come bearing sad news.
Go on, Aegis. There is no need to spare me. This is about my mother, isn't it?
Indeed. The Countess is no longer of this world.
Yes. It was to be feared. I knew she was lost a long time ago. The poor woman. At last she has been delivered from the madness that drove her into the gutter.
It gets worse.
Worse, you say?
Your mother did not die of poverty. She was killed.
Murdered? No. No, my father. The rabid dog made good on his threat. May he roast in the fires of hell for all eternity. As for you, Bishop, do you finally understand the man's true nature? How much longer will you protect this demon?
I share your grief, Monsieur de Mirabeau, but the secrets of...
Enough! You sanctimonious bigot! Is it not enough for you to serve the people absurd fables that condemn them to ignorance? Must you also submit to the whims of a malicious old brute? The scourge of his own family? Speak! Speak now, or so help me, I will send you to meet your maker!
Please, monsieur, let us not get carried away. Out of respect for your grief, and given the extraordinary circumstances, I consent to enlighten you.
I am listening, Monseigneur.
I admit that your father is an unusual person, inhabited by an anger whose source is undetermined. He blamed you, your sister, and your poor mother for all of his misfortunes. I stayed by his bedside an entire night. I preached about mercy and the example of our Lord Jesus Christ.
Ha! That must have gone over well.
Do not mock me, Monsieur de Mirabeau. At dawn, I finally got Monsieur le Marquis to see the error of his ways. Before God, he extended forgiveness to all those he had previously condemned.
However, he did not give up his plans for revenge. The fate reserved for my mother is proof of this.
In fact, monsieur, he did. He even gave me a leather wallet containing, in his words, the instrument of your punishment. He asked me to dispose of it. Unfortunately, your mother's fate was already sealed. Orders had been given. There was nothing more that could be done. The poor soul. He was in tears, his body racked with sobs.
My heart breaks to hear it. What was in the wallet?
I don't know, monsieur. I did not open it.
In that case, I ask you to give it to me now.
I cannot, monsieur. When I was captured, the wallet fell into the hands of the Comte de Cagliostro.
Nom de nom, Aegis. Do you realize what this means? This wallet contains my father's sentences for his children. Me, of course, but also my sister, the Marquise de Cabri. You must find it at all costs. Our fate is in your hands. Cagliostro must have put it in a safe place, somewhere known only to him. You know, as it happens, I've been spotting him recently from my apartments. He's been constantly coming and going around Rue Saint-Honoré, in the Quartier de Saint-Eustache. You should have a nose around and see what pops up. Did you find the confounded wallet?
No.
If the bishop is right, remember, I saw that...
Minister Necker claims that you were a familiar face at the Tuileries Palace.
That old story. Will it hound me until I have drawn my last breath? This, madame, is nothing but an unfounded rumor that I am trying in vain to dispel. To what do I owe the displeasure of having to defend myself once again?
I must get hold of some documents that are kept in an armored safe in the King's chambers.
What lock could resist your talents?
Minister Necker said it was indestructible.
Oh, I see. Well, let me think. Who could help you? After all, a lock is nothing more than a simple mechanism. Nothing that can resist the expertise of our dear Monsieur Bailly. Why don't you ask him for help?
I'll be sure to do so.
Now, who else might be of use? Oh, there's Monsieur Lavoisier as well, our gunpowder commissioner. I'm sure he'll have no trouble finding you something you can use to blow the door off that stubborn safe.
Good. I will go and find him.
Now, if you'll forgive me, I have an urgent matter to attend to.
You are forgiven for everything.
In that case, it has been a pleasure, madam.
How was your search at the Vaucansons' home?
I found this penknife there. I saw Mademoiselle de Vaucanson. This letter refers to a hiding...
I know the place. One day, Eugène and I were walking in the Luxembourg Gardens when suddenly Athénaïs jumped out from our hiding. It was a startling, almost frightening sight. The spot is on the edge of the garden, hidden by vegetation between...
I'm looking for a way to force a lock that is supposed to be unbreakable. Monsieur de Mirabeau advised me to ask you for help.
But I'm an astronomer, mon enfant, not a locksmith. I know my way around lenses, filters, racks and tripods. But I've never given a moment's thought to how a lock works. God, Monsieur de Mirabeau was joking with you, that's all. Où est-il, ce brave homme? So that we might ask him.
He has left. A matter that could not wait.
Excuse me? Do you mean he left the convent? That's madness. What was so important that he would put himself in such danger?
Intriguing indeed. Citoyen Lavoisier.
What can I do for you, Agent?
I would like to access the contents of a safe that is supposedly unbreakable. Dare I ask for your help, Monsieur Lavoisier?
And how can I be of assistance to you, madame?
I need gunpowder to break through the door.
Gunpowder? But I don't have a speck of it, mon ami. Do you think I just walk around with explosives in my pockets?
Oh. I apologize. It was Monsieur de Mirabeau's idea.
Mirabeau? What is this ridiculousness? I suspect he knows full well whatever he's playing at. Where is the animal? So we can ask him what's truly going on.
He has left. He had an urgent matter to attend to.
Eh bien. I'm sorry, madame. If I could inspect the safe and determine what metal was used in its fabrication, I might be able to find a solution. But given the circumstances, I'm sadly not in a position to help you.
I understand. Goodbye, Citoyen Le...
I've seen Monsieur de Mirabeau.
Aegis, a word, something.
The lock wasn't forced. Whoever opened it had the key. Monsieur Necker's bonds are still there. There's something engraved on it. H.G. Riquetti. Comte de Mirabeau. Now there's a surprise. The scoundrel. I can't wait to hear what he has to say about this. Whoever broke into this safe left behind the most valuable thing in it. This doesn't make sense. I have just come from the Tuileries. The armoire de fer has been ransacked.
Diable. Someone beat us to it. This is very unfortunate. God only knows what we would have found there.
Whoever it was had to fight for it. I found a body there, killed by automats.
Mon Dieu. How dreadful.
Dreadful indeed. Especially since I discovered this in the victim's hand.
And what is that, pray tell?
A dueling pistol. With your name engraved on its plate.
Oh, May we? You're right. It is my pistol. It was stolen along with a number of other things. It happened just before the Estates General at my lodgings in Versailles. But how on earth did my weapon end up in the hands of this poor soul?
I am certain we will find an explanation. Those letters you have. You were about to throw them in the fire, weren't you?
They belong to me, and I shall do with them as I see fit. I don't have to explain myself to you.
I do find it curious how you left the convent without telling anyone. How those letters seem to weigh so heavily in your hands. So these letters appeared as if by magic, just as the Armoire d'Affaires was being ransacked.
You misinterpret my intentions, but you're right about one thing. I do have a confession to make. You and I serve the same cause. The Queen's.
You claim that we're fighting for the same cause. Very well. I shall give you the benefit of the doubt, and an opportunity to convince me. You can start by telling me about the letters.
My private correspondence with the king. I had a key to the armoire, which served as a mailbox.
Are you conspiring with the king?
No, you don't understand. I was something of a shadow advisor, a diplomat, working in complete discretion. I feared his stubbornness would lead the kingdom to ruin, so I tried to reassure him regarding the aims of the Third Estate. But when Vaucanson told me what happened at Meudon, I realized it was a lost cause.
You claim to be a friend of the Queen.
The king has gone insane. After what happened at Meudon, that much is clear. We can no longer expect any leniency from him. Hence my support for his wife. She's a headstrong woman, and much wiser than she lets on. You must know that she means to put her youngest on the throne, the young prince, Louis Charles. A regency would restore peace and unity to the kingdom. Then all that would remain would be to establish a constitution. I have the support of the people. They trust me. I'm the only one that can bring about these reforms.
I found your pistol in the hands of a dead man. Who was this unfortunate soul?
Mathieu, one of the servants I had sent to retrieve the letters. I gave him the pistol for self-defense. Alas, it seems it was of little use to him against the king's automats.
Tell me, what happened at Meudon?
It's all here in this letter, written in the king's own hand. Please, give it to the Queen. She must learn the truth.
Why were you in such a hurry to destroy your correspondence?
The letters contained sensitive information about my Third Estate colleagues. If it had gotten out, I would have surely lost my allies' trust, as well as any hope of establishing a regency along with it.
to the Tuileries and follow the directions on the receipt. It also mentions the Quartier du Saint-Eustache and Rue Saint-Honoré. Antonius's hiding place. A fight took place here. Franciscus Antonius. What unusual names. Whose king could this be? Perhaps the guests at the Cordelier can enlighten me. Citoyen Robespierre.
Madame.
I have recovered Minister Necker's bonds.
Do you intend to entrust them to me?
Yes. I have chosen to place this fortune in your hands.
Very well, Madame. I promise that I will use it for one purpose only. To give the people their freedom. When a monarch violates the people's most fundamental rights, insurrection is their most sacred and indispensable duty. But we must be wary of warmongers, who would lead the rebellion in the name of the people, because all they truly want is to become tyrants in turn.
I found a cane engraved with the name Franciscus Antonius. Who could it belong to?
Let me think a moment, je vous prie. I know an Antoine Francois, a printer on Rue de la Harpe. His surname is Momolo, but he is a man of the people and a true patriot. I doubt that he ever sported a cane with his name engraved on it.
Yes. This is clearly not the right direction. Goodbye, Citoyen Rob, and death.
Aegis, a word, s'il vous plaît.
Citoyen Lavoisier.
What can I do for you, Aegis?
Do the names Franciscus Antonius mean anything to you?
No, nothing really.
Francois Antoine, maybe?
No, nothing with that name either. I'm sorry, Madame.
Goodbye. Citoyen B.
Ah, mademoiselle.
Does the name Franciscus Antonius mean anything to you?
We scholars have the strange habit of adopting names from antiquity. I imagine that we're actually looking for someone named Francois Antoine. But no matter how hard I think, I'm afraid it doesn't ring a bell.
Did you find the confounded wallet?
No. I'm still looking.
If the bishop is right, remember.
I found a broken cane. It says Franciscus Antonius on it. Do you know who it belongs to?
Well, I never. Yes, I know the owner. And I'm willing to bet you're looking for a certain Francois Antoine.
That's right.
Well, you'd need to look a little further east, mademoiselle. Across the Rhine for a start. Because this cane belongs, or belonged, to a certain Franz Anton Mesmer.
Mesmer, the prince of charlatans.
Good heavens, it's been a long time since I've heard his name.
5 years to be exact since your learned commission denounced his theories.
It wasn't long after that when he disappeared.
Mesmer. Eugène de Vaucanson said that name before he died. Can you tell me more about him?
He was a mystical healer who was once popular with the upper class. I myself attended several of his sessions.
You mentioned a commission.
The king did not look kindly on the healer's popularity within the court. This led him to appoint a commission from the Royal Academy of Sciences.
An institution to which Monsieur Bailly and I have the honor to belong. We were asked to investigate his alleged powers.
The experiments that we performed allowed us to determine that Monsieur Mesmer's activities were pure charlatanism, a conclusion that destroyed his successful career the moment it was published.
But there was something, Sylvain, a tiny flow of energy that my devices were able to measure.
My dear colleague, must I remind you again that we were never able to reproduce your observations? It was obviously a momentary failure of your equipment.
Perhaps. I'd like to be sure of it.
When and how did Monsieur Mesmer disappear?
The denunciation of his techniques was the start of a long descent into hell for Monsieur Mesmer. He was abandoned by his clients and resumed his research in virtual secrecy. I think he was hoping to perfect his so-called science and restore his reputation with the Academy.
A hope that led him to associate himself with that dastardly Cagliostro. God only knows what experiments they may have carried out. In any case, their collaboration did not last long. Monsieur Mesmer left the kingdom overnight to return to his mother country.
Why did he leave so quickly?
That is a mystery. But those who saw him that morning say it was as if he had the devil at his heels.
This is true. He left in such a hurry that he abandoned everything he owned. Furniture, belongings, and scientific equipment. And it seems that Cagliostro has inherited this treasure.
Is that so? Well, if what you say is true, that broken cane must have passed into the Count's hands.
Yes, it's likely.
This adventurer from who knows where is quite the mysterious character. And he has been very busy recently. I've been able to observe him from my apartments, making frequent visits to Rue Saint-Honoré, on the Tuileries side. I wonder what he was doing there.
What were Monsieur Mesmer's theories?
He is a proponent of a theory called animal magnetism. He claimed to be able to channel a purported universal healing fluid by passing his hands over patients and using magnets.
He also cobbled together a whole array of mad devices, each stranger than the last. Unfortunately, despite all his attempts, I don't know that he ever cured anyone.
What happened during Monsieur Mesmer's treatment sessions?
Oh, they were quite a spectacle to behold. Imagine well-born ladies afflicted with perfectly imaginary illnesses. A dimly lit room where incense has been burned to intoxicate the soul and cloud your vision. Amiable servants, half-dressed, gliding from countess to duchess to the sound of a sensual melody. And the great Mesmer, a doctor with wandering hands, presiding over the wonderful scene. Oh, you should have seen them. Those grand ladies moaning, crying, and falling into a swoon, clinging to that strange tub. Du théâtre, ma chère. Pure theater.
monster. What do you want with me? Wasn't it enough for you to steal my dancer?
I'm merely obeying the king, mademoiselle. Don't be afraid. You and your beloved machine will soon be reunited. I give you my word. Voila, here we are. Do you see that window? That's where she's waiting for you. Sale petite peste. I suggest you don't try that again.
Atanias, what could have happened to her in this workshop? This notebook appears to be very old. I should show it to Abbe Grégoire. So that is the name that the Comte de Cagliostro uses to conduct his business discreetly. This envelope contained another lettre de cachet. There can be little doubt of that, and this time, I am certain it was Monsieur de Mirabeau who was the target. You're so beautiful. You'll stay with me always, n'est-ce pas? Without you, mon ami, I'd be all alone. This box is covered in astronomical symbols. It's no use. I can't get it open. I should show this to Monsieur B.
Aegis, a word, s'il vous plaît.
Can I help you, Aegis?
I hope so, Abbot. Our salvation is at stake.
I am listening.
What is the significance of these objects steeped in memories?
Nemes. I have reread every work that I have on them. Pages that have remained unintelligible to this day. These echoes go back to the beginning of time, to that fateful day in ancient Greece when some dark magician took it into his head to bind a soul to an inanimate object. You see, Aegis, there is nothing more diabolical, nothing more unnatural than this sorcery. The soul is the very essence of the divine. It refuses to submit to such an abomination and resists, eventually breaking. The earliest necromancers whose works have survived through the centuries all describe the same phenomenon. When a soul is fragmented, 3 shards of memory are torn from its consciousness and take shelter in 3 objects that the victim held dear. It's as if these memories wish to remain bound to the mortal who had held them until then.
I found this notebook written in Latin.
Indeed. Medieval Latin, to be precise. Oh, hold on. Bon sang. Aegis, what a find. This handwriting. I would recognize it anywhere. It's in Nicholas Flamel's own hand. Give me some time to study this, and I'll tell you what I'm able to glean from it.
Have you finished reading the notebook, mon père?
Yes, Aegis, and what I learned from it puzzles me. In this diary, Flamel tells of 3 journeys. 3 journeys into what he calls the in-between. A strange world filled with wandering souls. Tormented spirits that are unable to ascend to heaven.
This world. It's where Cagliostro's victims were trapped until I freed them.
En effet, I believe you're right. But that's not all. Flamel planned to return there a 4th time. He wrote this in the final paragraph, in his handwriting, dated 21st of March 1418. That was the day before he died, Aegis. What if his body died while his soul was traveling through limbo? What if he were trapped, a prisoner in this purgatory? Aegis, because of your unique nature, we have an incredible opportunity.
What do you mean, mon père?
If the soul that animates you has been bound to the automaton that serves as its vessel, then it can be separated from it too. And if this were the case, the soul would travel to purgatory, where Cagliostro entraps the souls of his victims.
Hold on. Are you trying to convince me to go and find Nicholas Flamel?
I'm offering you a chance to speak to the man who discovered the Philosopher's Stone. Surely you won't pass it up.
Assuming I agree to venture into purgatory, do I even have a chance of finding him there?
Certainly. According to this journal, the soul flies to the zenith of the place where it left the body of the deceased. Or that of the pilgrim, in this case. If Flamel's soul is trapped in purgatory, as we've guessed, you'll need to go to the house where he drew his dying breath.
Is it still standing?
Of course. It's on Rue de Montmorency, in the quartier de l'Hôtel de Ville. You can get there via the cemetery of the Église Saint-Jacques.
And how do you plan to free my spirit from this automat?
We would simply need to break the bond between them. To do this, we would need to stop your machinery. For a short time, of course. We don't want to lose you, ma chère. As for the rest, it will be a question of mechanics, chemistry, or electric currents, or something or other. Therein lies the problem. This is far beyond my comprehension. But it is fascinating, isn't it? Perhaps Monsieur Bailly and Monsieur Lavoisier could shed some light on the matter.
Goodbye, Abbot. Citoyen Mirabeau. I found the wallet that the Comte de Cagliostro took from Monseigneur de la Fare.
Ah, how fortunate. What does it contain?
2 envelopes addressed to the Lieutenant General de Police. One of them had this letter in it. It concerns your sister, the Marquise de Capri.
Let's see. A lettre de cachet signed by my father. He gave orders to have my sister locked up in a convent. His unique variety of fatherly love is unmistakable. What was in the second envelope?
It is empty.
Empty? Mon Dieu. You don't have to be a genius to guess that it contained a similar document, this time concerning myself. If the envelope was empty, it means that this letter has already been delivered to its recipient. By Cagliostro, no doubt. The monster must have felt a perverse sense of joy as he devoured its contents. Aegis, you must retrieve this letter at all costs. If the Lieutenant General attaches a seal and gives it to his underlings at the Châtelet, I am done for.
Where does this Lieutenant General reside?
Oh, right by the fortress. He's a dutiful man and prides himself on never straying too far from it. Please hurry, I beg of you.
Citoyen Lavoisier.
What can I do for you, Aegis?
Do you think there is any way to interrupt my internal clockwork?
To what end?
I would like to briefly sever the bond between my spirit and this automat.
It is a very strange request, madame. For what purpose do you seek to free your soul from its shell?
According to the abbot, my spirit would then be able to visit purgatory.
Oh, that dreadful place. Why on earth would you want to go there?
I hope to find answers to some very important questions.
You must understand, madame, that your very nature is a mystery to us. We are ignorant as to the principle that imbues you with life, nor do we know how your machinery works. That is why it is impossible for us to make even the slightest alteration. It would mean taking an unacceptable risk. Of course, if we had documents that could shed light on the matter.
Antoine, the blueprints.
What blueprints, mon ami?
Ludia's. Eugène gave them to me when he was working on the modifications ordered by the king. He wanted my opinion on the potential for reducing the size of certain key parts. The documents are obsolete now, but they could tell us quite a bit about the mechanical principles that are shared by Ludia and Aegis.
Bon sang, you're right. Where are the blueprints now?
Alas, the situation is not in our favor. I kept them in the safe at the observatory, but earlier, when I went there to collect my most important documents, before setting off for the convent, I found looters making off with its contents.
Blasted scavengers. Their kind are always quick to make the most of chaos.
I chased them to the quays, but was unable to apprehend them. When they disappeared into an underground passageway under the Louvre, I decided it was best not to follow them.
You acted wisely, mon ami. The automats are everywhere, and the marauders don't stand much of a chance.
I'll try to track them down. Goodbye, Citoyen.
Did you find the blueprints that were stolen from me?
No,
Don't forget that those documents are our only chance. The looters disappeared into the tunnels under the... I find it hard to believe.
I found this box with astronomical symbols on it. I believe it belongs to Vaucanson's daughter.
Athénaïs' secret box. I built it with my own hands. It was my gift to her on her 15th birthday.
I wasn't able to open it.
Naturellement. Athénaïs and I are the only ones who know how. Allow me. You must arrange the planets the way they were aligned on the day of Athénaïs' birth. Voila, like this.
What's this locket?
Athénaïs is always wearing this. It contains a portrait of her late mother. She said it was her most cherished possession in all the world. To think, the poor child never knew her own mother.
You monster! What did you do to her?
Ludia, what happened? You froze the moment you touched the locket. I thought I'd lost you.
I saw her. Athénaïs de Vaucanson. The Comte de Cagliostro has her.
Mon Dieu. It is just as I feared.
He bound her spirit to an automat.
Please, say no more. Athénaïs. It is her spirit that animates you. Is it not?
Yes. I believe so.
Seigneur, quelle abomination.
Where can I find Athénaïs' body?
God only knows. Although I assume that the Comte de Cagliostro is taking pains to keep her alive, this is certainly the only way to keep her spirit alive in you. The only way to free her is to find her body.
Why was Eugène de Vaucanson imprisoned in the Bastille?
Once he discovered the king's true intentions, he refused to continue cooperating with him. He refused to use his talents to create this abominable army. But the king didn't take kindly to his resignation. Eugène did manage to get a letter to me just before he was arrested. Here, take it.
Dieu de bon Dieu, boss. It hurts. It hurts.
Steel yourself, Claude. Just be thankful you got out alive.
I'm still in pretty bad shape.
Et puis quoi? Don't you think it was worth it? This tunnel is a gold mine. With what we've managed to gather, we'll be set for a long time.
Monsieur.
Huh? Who goes there?
Oh, so, let's get the hell out of here! Run, Claude! Run if you can!
Oh, my lure! I told you we'd get caught!
From the observatory. Poor souls. I didn't stand a chance. Beauteous blueprints. Fortunately, they are in perfect condition. Monsieur Bailly will be delighted. Citoyen Mirabeau. Here is the letter sent by your father to the Lieutenant General de Police. You were right.
Mon Dieu. So this is what the Cur had in store for me. A new lettre de cachet with a royal seal. He sentenced me to spend the rest of my days in the Chateau de Vincennes. To return to the cell where he had me locked up 12 years ago. Those 10 square feet where I lay at death's door for 42 months on end. 14 seasons, spent with chattering teeth, coughing up a bucket full of bile and blood every day.
Your own father had you thrown in jail?
Alas, such is the sad truth.
What crime did he hold you to be guilty of?
He disapproved of the follies of the young man I was back then, and my love for a certain someone. A woman whom an unjust law kept me apart from. I was free and besotted with happiness, Aegis. And that was a crime in the eyes of my father, the Marquis. I sullied the Mirabeau name, so he felt it necessary to steal my youth and clap his wayward son in irons.
What does this letter matter, in the face of the mortal peril that hangs over all the king's enemies?
You must put yourself in my shoes to understand. If the king wins this war, he will send all the brave men here to the scaffold, and I am certain they will climb the steps with their heads held high. But if you hadn't taken that letter, I would have suffered a far darker fate, Louis the Mad would have made it his duty to respect my father's last wishes. But I would rather die, whether a hero or a coward, than return to Vincennes. There is no worse hell on earth than that infernal dungeon.
Was there no trial?
One would imagine. Those damned lettres de cachet. For centuries, a powerful man, whether a king or a father, need simply put pen to paper, and an innocent man is thrown into prison. The poor soul sees neither judge nor lawyer. In the space of an hour, he moves from the light into darkness, and his cries for help fall futilely on the cold stone of the dungeon walls. I am just one of many victims, whose ranks range from the most famous to the most lowly, from Voltaire and Diderot to the unfortunate children whose dark fates will never be known. In any case, I must now express my eternal gratitude, even though no words, no matter how eloquent, can express its depth. I owe everything to you, Aegis. You, who've broken my chains forever. Whatever happens now, I will be free to live or die for the nation. As for the Marquis de Mirabeau, that criminal whom misfortune chose as my father, let us consider him dead, shall we? Let him choke on loneliness and regret, once and for all.
Citoyen B.
Ah, mademoiselle. Well...
Here are the blueprints you asked for.
Good heavens. You found them?
Your thieves were not able to profit much from their theft. They met with an unfortunate end.
Oh, the poor souls. Their crimes did not deserve such a permanent ending.
Certainly, certainly. Let us look at these documents now, if you will.
No, Antoine, the F-wheel is not part of the cog that transfers the driving force to the escapement.
Diable, you're right. It's driven by the B-wheel, and its axis is on the shaft that's visible at this point.
Precisely. In fact, the shaft sits between the conical bearing and the small groove here. See?
True. It's decided then. All we would have to do is separate these two plates to disable the entire thing.
And to put them back in place at the agreed time to start the machine again.
You will not be able to assist me. I have to do it alone. Half a league away.
You must be joking.
By no means. You'll have to find another solution.
Unfortunately, madame, you're asking us to do the impossible.
Oh, ça, par exemple.
Once your spirit is untethered from this automat, it will be impossible for you to start the machine up again.
Hold on, my dear Antoine. Is this device in Figure 4? Is it still in place?
Yes, it is. What of it?
Bon sang. It's a timer. It's primitive, true, but fully functional.
The dial has marks from 1 to 15. Probably minutes.
It was to allow Eugène to plan the duration of Ludia's dances in advance.
Oh, I see. And by reversing the position of this peg in the center, we could instead turn it into a period of inactivity.
Nous y sommes, mon ami. Fantastic.
Will Aegis be able to operate this device herself?
We'll make it easier for her. All you have to do is put a bolt there that she can remove when the time is right. Yes, a small iron rod will suffice. We won't have any trouble finding something that will do. When the timer dial reaches 0, the automat will come back to life. However, given the dial's fragility, we will probably get only one chance to try this.
Are you sure that the bond between my soul and this machine will be re-established?
Ma foi, I admit that we can't be sure of this. What do you say, mon père?
Don't be afraid, Aegis. Unless I've been wrong from the beginning, your soul will seek refuge in the only body it has available to it in this world.
Well then, shall we start the preparations?
Let's begin. My fate is in your hands, monsieur.
Voila. Everything is in place. When it's time, just pull on this metal loop to start the timer.
Remember, you will have 15 minutes and no more before your spirit returns to your body. We wish you good luck, madame.
Remember, to get to Rue de Montmorency, you're best going through the cemetery behind the Église Saint-Jacques in the quartier de l'Hôtel de Ville. Here is the key to the gate. Our prayers are with you, my child.
Aegis, a word, s'il vous plaît.
Holy Mother of our Lord, at last thou speakest! Gentle dame, you have erred here for so long, not a word uttered. In singular contemplation of such terrible slaughter.
A long time, you say? That's not possible, sir. I've just now appeared to you.
Nay, thou must trust me. And thou wast hardly alone in this limbo. There were many travelers, stiff and silent, all in agony, all bound to the anchor stone.
What travelers do you speak of?
The first to arrive was a sobbing child searching for his mother. After him, many a damned soul carrying their own heads in hand. Then, those whose thoughts passed through me. A minister of God tormented by doubt.
Hold on. A minister of God? Monsignor de la Fare?
A scholar with soul star-filled, and a learned master of alchemy.
Monsieur Bailly and Monsieur Lavoisier.
A usurer who shed so many tears for his lady.
Monsieur Necker, mourning his wife.
All bound to the anchor stone. Wretched souls, their ascension to the heavens repelled.
The anchor stone, monsieur?
Lapis philosophorum.
The philosopher's stone.
Aye! Vile knave who took it for his own lately. No count is he but that of trespass and perfidy.
Cagliostro.
Well met. The rope for this varlet and I shall be avenged. The anchor stone keeps the travelers in this limbo and makes them masters of the Iron Titans. From the defunct springs the fire that burns inside these demons. Lanterns of the dead. Witchcraft of the blackest sort.
The terrible slaughter. You say I was just observing the massacres?
Aye. Vile, innumerable crimes. The devil's own accursed titans and their restless horde. They drinketh from the lake where the souls of the dead sleep. Men and women offered in sacrifice to feed the pyre. Then the terrible maw was opened, and in flowed legion of the dead. Ne'er hast I seen such and so many here during all my stay. The stone is verily mine dark confine. Lonely, so lonely, that mine vessel is no more, and my soul still cloistered in this place. Alack, I do despair of ever ascending to heaven. Gentle dame, I prithee do shatter mine stone.
You want me to break the stone that contains your soul? Is that what you're asking me to do?
Aye, my God, I beg thee.
Do you know where this stone is? You've been buried for more than 3 centuries, monsieur.
The precious jewel, sublime treasure, was inscribed in my legacy, my testament. On my tomb engraved, gentle dame, on the tomb!
What a strange encounter. I must tell Abbe Grégoire about it immediately.
Can I help you, Aegis?
I hope so, Abbot. Our salvation is at stake.
I am listening.
The plan worked as we had hoped. My spirit left my body, and I traveled to the in-between.
This is extraordinary. It confirms all my theories.
You were right about the rest, too. Nicholas Flamel's soul had never left the In-Between.
Mon Dieu, 4 centuries. What a fearsome fate. Were you able to speak with this unfortunate soul?
Yes, mon père. He claimed that I'd been in purgatory for a long time, but had never spoken until then.
Please, go on.
He said he had met other visitors. Based on his descriptions, he was speaking of Monseigneur de la Fare, Minister Necker, Monsieur Bailly and Monsieur Lavoisier. They all seemed unaware of his presence. All bound to the Anchor Stone. Those were his words.
All those whom Cagliostro turned into his homicidal playthings. Yes, it is just as I thought. The subject has the impression of being the automat it is bound to, but his soul remains in the in-between world.
Mon père, Monsieur Flamel begged me to free him from purgatory. He has suffered for too long.
How can we help him?
If he is to be believed, we would simply have to break his stone.
Of course, the Philosopher's Stone. The Anchor Stone that keeps him in the in-between. But where could it be after all this time?
Look at this, mon père. These are Philosopher's Stones made by Cagliostro's hand. Do they look familiar?
Heavens, they do. Aegis. The ancient chalice of Saint-Jacques is adorned with a similar stone. It was entrusted to me by the parish priests, along with some other relics. I stored it in a reliquary chest in this very room. Here's the key. Go. Let us not waste a second more.
Goodbye, Abbot.
Yes. A word, s'il vous plaît.
Here it is.
4 centuries, Aegis. 4 centuries. No mind can begin to comprehend what this poor man has suffered.
Is this the fate that awaits us? An eternity of silence and solitude?
Purgatory is just a stop on the journey, Monseigneur.
Oh, I would give anything to believe it again.
Monsieur Flamel, the time has come to set you free.
Seigneur, Dieu nous garde.
Oh, blessed maid who has broken my chains! Heavenly light! Oh, heavenly light! I shall become one with it!
Et cum haec dixis et videntibus illis elevatus est.
And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up.
Hallelujah! Purgatory is not the end. Do you know what that means, Abbot?
Before I say anything, I would like to take the time to consider the phenomenon we have just witnessed with a clear head.
You are mistaken. What we have just seen and heard makes us new apostles. From this day on, I will live only to share the good news of this divine manifestation.
Grand bien vous fasse, Monseigneur. We, however, shall focus on more earthly considerations. The fate of the kingdom, and the gruesome destiny of its people.